Hey, welcome to Film versus Movie, the podcast where we debate the cinema you hate. I'm your co-host, Belton DeLaine-Facey.
And I'm Chris Shurr.
And on this podcast, we watch the films that have been slandered, desecrated, and shoved out of orbit by public opinion. And one of us tells you why it's actually pretty good.
And that'll be me. And one of us tells... Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, it'll be me this
That's
time.
my bad. And one of us will tell you why it's a heaping pile of shit. And that'll be me.
And today's movie is 2022's Moonfall.
Whoop, whoop.
Moonfall is, to give a brief synopsis, it's about the moon falling out of orbit. Astronauts have to go save the Earth, and it turns out it's part of an alien invasion. The moon is a man-made megastructure
from primordial humans. So basically, like, 1 billion years ago, the time was a little... It's got to be longer than that. The Earth is like 4 billion years old.
Well, I mean, according to real science.
Oh, well, yeah, but like I thought they tried to fit it. All right, it doesn't matter. Very old. There was a primordial Earth species or human species, and they built an AI that handled all their shit. And then the AI went bad because it's like, I'm not going to be a slave to a bunch of meat monkeys. And so it started killing all the humans. And so in response to that, and I'm not kidding here, the humans made a less aggressive AI who built moons in order to repopulate humans around the galaxy, but only one made it out, our moon. And then the angry AI came back, and that's sort of what sets off all the plot of the movie is the angry AI, who's a cloud of metallic sand, attacks a bunch of astronauts.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure like all the lore you just explained is only dove into in the last half hour, something like that.
Yeah, like 10 minutes.
Yeah, to give a bit more of a detailed synopsis of the movie. So Patrick Wilson and Halle Berry are NASA astronauts. At the beginning of the movie, they're attacked by an alien. Halle Berry gets knocked out immediately. Their other crew member dies. Patrick Wilson is dismissed from NASA when he claims it's an alien attack because that's what he saw. 10 years later, a conspiracy theorist named Casey, who believes the moon is an artificial megastructure, he notices the moon falling out of orbit. NASA notices the same thing. So them and Brian get together to save the planet, and they discover it's caused by alien. The trio go into space, go into the moon. That's when all the lore Chris just explained is fleshed out, and Casey sacrifices himself to send the moon back into orbit and save the planet.
And he is downloaded into the moon.
Yeah, he becomes part of like the moon's computer system.
The last shot is he's in like a hologram room, and he's talking to his Alzheimer-ridden mom, and he's like, "Am I dead?" And they're like, "Well, we downloaded your mind into the moon. Roll credits."
Yeah, so this movie was written and directed by Roland Emmerich. He's known for a lot of disaster movies like Independence Day, Day After Tomorrow, White House Down. And so this was actually a passion project of his. After he said he wanted to make a movie about a meteor hitting Earth, which is similar to this right after Independence Day, but he didn't do it because he ended up directing 1998's Godzilla. Oddly enough, 1998 saw 2 movies about a meteor head towards Earth in Deep Impact and Armageddon.
Yeah, it's just bad timing.
Yeah, there is a term of Hollywood twin movies when 2 Hollywood movies with a similar concept come out within a year of each other. There is a world where we got Hollywood triplets, and and I want to see the 3 of them just battle it out.
I feel like it would have done better. This would have killed in the early 2000s.
Oh yeah, well, because shit got wild in the early 2000s.
Dude, Bruce Willis would have acted in it. Like, you just had like this really cool cast of fun people. It would have had like, who's the shit, dude? Christopher Walken would probably have been in it. Who's the dude who plays the creepy guy in Billy Madison? And he's got the scrunched up face. He was a firefighter during 9/11.
Oh, Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi would have been in it. I think I'm just naming the cast of Armageddon, but
Like the cast of Armageddon all get the script and they're like, yeah, let's run it back.
Dude, I would watch the shit out of that movie, but
Yeah.
it have to be like AI Bruce Willis.
Oh yeah, like Ben Affleck actually plays Halle Berry's role. But yeah, so this was a passion project of his. He had originally sold the rights to Universal, where it was just in development hell for years. Went nowhere. Once he got the rights back, he went to Cannes Film Festival and got a whole lot of backers for the film. A lot of the budget ended up still being his own money, but at a little north of $140 million, it's considered one of the most expensive independent films of all time.
Okay, I've got a question for you. When you say you went to Cannes, you went without a finished product, right? He just went there and like talked up this movie about the moon hitting the earth.
Yeah, he literally went there and pitched a project to a bunch of people with money, and they gave it to him.
Oh my god, dude, I want to be in that industry. I want to just go to people with crazy. I just want to be like, all right, here's the idea. It's called Gremlin Penis. It's about a guy and he develops a gremlin penis, but like anytime he fucks, it gets wet. So it just eats whoever he's fucking. I need $175 million.
Oh my god. I personally think every year, like some sort of film community should just vote on a well-established director to just get a blank $150 million budget for any film they want. Like, could you imagine Wes Anderson with a Marvel budget?
But like maybe they just have to shoot outside of their like typical style. Like I want to see Wes Anderson with a Marvel budget try and do like a Marvel movie. Like just make it as weird as possible. Or maybe everyone just has to shoot their own moon falling into the earth movie.
Like everyone gets the same prompt, but it's like all about what you do with it. Roland Emmerich has said that this movie draws a lot of inspiration from the book Who Built the Moon, which is about a conspiracy theory that the moon is an artificial megastructure and is controlled by aliens, which is surprisingly in the nonfiction section wherever you look for books.
Wait, really?
Yeah, because it talks about the conspiracy theory. Now, a lot of this has been disproven because apparently a lot of the theory is centered around the idea that the moon has no core, which is just not true. Like it's not even one of those things where it's like, I see how you got there. It's just false.
Wait, okay, so is the book about the conspiracy theory, or is the book saying that the conspiracy theory is true?
It's saying it's true.
Oh, okay.
Like I think the tone of the book is best summed up by this 5-star review of it I found on Amazon. This guy says the title of it is Just Waking Up. And he says, why don't we hear more about this? So sad that most scientists are afraid to risk. Even Ancient Alien series is afraid of this topic. Just finished reading for the second time. Some is outdated since it's 2023, but fascinating. 5 stars.
Some is outdated since it's 2020. I'm just like imagining he's like, all of it is fact, but like they'd use a couple racially insensitive terms in it. So it's just like that part of it's outdated.
Yeah, like it's not politically correct, but I believe in everything that they're saying.
They're like moon part true, but they also like use the word Oriental a couple of times, so it's pretty outdated if you ask me.
Yeah, it's like yes, the moon is run by humans. Surprisingly, not the Jews. This movie also, they actually collaborated with NASA for a lot of this. NASA provided a lot of their people as advisors for the film, and they provided a real shell cockpit for shooting.
Damn. Do you pay NASA for that, or is like NASA putting money into Moonfall?
It probably depends on the film. It might. I mean, they did promote NASA a lot, so that might have been part of it.
They also promoted Lexus a lot. I'm just like cracking up where they're like, yeah, NASA's like, this movie made us look good.
I mean, there is an invested interest like among the scientific community, because a lot of them are aware that a lot of people's perception of that is determined by movies. So a lot So a lot of them are like, we want to make sure we look as good as possible. However, the filmmakers are up to their discretion to just ignore them. Like, because I remember I saw something where something with I think the screenwriters of Ant-Man where they were saying like they talked to actual physicists to determine okay, theoretically what would the quantum realm look like, and they got all these detailed notes and they were like that would look boring, and they went with their own thing.
Well, it's like, isn't the first Top Gun the greatest piece of Navy propaganda ever created?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They have the numbers to back up that after that movie came out, a lot of dudes signed up for the Navy.
But you also know what was one of the greatest pieces of Navy propaganda ever? The Village People. They made that song in the Navy. Village People were also a really big Navy piece of, I guess, propaganda, like an enlistment piece of information where they, you know, that song like in the Navy. It's very
Oh yeah,
homoerotic.
oh yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking like a lot of musicians get like brand deals to music. Like one of the biggest ones was Run DMC has a song called My Adidas. Like I'm just imagining like the Village people saying that was Navy. It's just like, all right, how much money y'all gonna give us to make this song?
They're like, how gay are you willing to make it? Because we're the Village People, so you've got to know what you're doing, right? Like you could have gone to Mick Jagger's, but you came here, so.
All right, and so back to the production of this. This was very affected by the COVID pandemic. It was originally supposed to shoot in spring 2020. It got pushed back to October of that year. Originally, Michael Pena's character was supposed to be played by Stanley Tucci, but he was in the UK, so he couldn't get to shooting due to travel restrictions. They managed to find an extra $5.6 million for the budget to deal with COVID restrictions. And like one of the biggest things while they were shooting, because they couldn't shoot on location, they built 135 different sets for this movie.
What do you mean?
Like across a bunch of sound stages. So something like when they're walking across the country to Colorado, something like that, they were probably actually gonna just shoot on location in some town somewhere. They couldn't do that, so they had to build that set on a soundstage.
Do you think that's why they ended up in that shanty town rather than just like a regular town?
Probably because that was also something while watching the movie I thought of is usually in the disaster movie you see like crowds of people doing crazy things to survive. They didn't have much of that here, probably because of COVID restrictions. They had to limit the number of people they had on set.
Yeah, I mean they really only had like what, 3 main buildings in the whole movie.
Yeah, I mean that's also probably why when they're traveling to Colorado, it's just the same group of rednecks that keep bothering them.
There was that one barn and the fire department. All right, there was like a few buildings, I admit that, but
and so also it was supposed to originally come out in October 2021, but their Canadian distributor thought it was too risky to release it. At the time, since they were saying like, oh, not a lot of people are still going to theaters, so it got pushed back to early 2022, and it flopped at the box office on its massive budget. It only made a little north of $67 million. It lost its opening weekend to Jackass Forever.
That was a good movie though.
Yeah, and look, I don't like wish any movie to fail really, but the idea of like this big budget movie losing to a franchise that's just had the tone of high school dropouts with a camcorder is hilarious.
Well, dude, they know what people want. Man, those Jackass guys, they like really put their life on the line, and I think a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm gonna support these guys.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like they're gonna keep making Jackass movies because they have medical bills. What you were saying to the ending where the conspiracy guy is just part of the moon's AI or whatever, Emmerich said that if this was successful, there would be 2 even crazier sequels, which I think we as a general public deserve to know what those would have been.
They could release it as like a book and I'd read it.
Oh yeah.
They had me, like, it wasn't a good movie, but they had me hooked at the end. At the end, I was just like, dude, I need 2 more of these. I need it like heroin, where I was just like, I need to know what they made the guy just a part of the moon computer. Like, it ended on such a weird note that I need to know what they're doing next.
Oh my god! And it's like Roland Emmerich. I want to see how he turns this into another disaster movie, because going through his movies, he's running out of world to destroy. I want to see it's like, oh yeah, now we just have beef with Mars. The moon is going to crash into Mars because fuck them.
I was like, okay, maybe another moon shows up and that one starts falling, and like the other moon starts falling too. So now it's 2 Moonfall. Moonfell 2, or
just
because they had to go fight the aliens, right? That was like the only conceivable. That's the thing, though. Like, that seems like what you would do, but in this movie, they could do anything, and that's what I wanted. I wanted to find out, like, what were they thinking was next? What conspiracy theory were they going to cover after this?
like Roland Emmerich just has in his home, just has a wall of conspiracy. There's just like, there's another movie in here.
He's like, Moonfall 2. The 9/11 was a false flag movie. You're just like, oh damn, okay, how are you gonna fit that one in?
All right. Well, now is time for our opening statements. Would you like to start?
I can start. Moonfall is a crowded movie that can't figure out what it wants to be. The plot is all over the place for a movie about the moon hitting Earth. The characters are forgettable, and it ran 25 minutes too long. It would have been a very solid 6-episode Netflix series or a half-decent 90-minute movie.
All right. My opening statement. Over the course of Moonfall, the master of disaster himself, Roland Emmerich, gives his audience what they've come to enjoy from him while mixing up some of his usual elements in a new way. This film is pure craft and artistic expression and should be appreciated as such. I'm sure 10 years from now, we'll look back and wish we didn't let this film fail at the box office.
Okay, honestly, you got me there. I really wish we didn't let it fail at the box office. I wish it broke even.
Maybe he'll just find another $140 million somewhere to make his sequels.
I'll go to Cannes and start like fucking pitching it.
I know, just start selling cookies.
All right, you got an opening point?
Yeah, so I do want to say that, like, Emmerich, he's kind of defined the disaster genre for a bit, and so with that, he does have his usual staples, and I would say he mixed up the elements a bit. I think a big one is that the main 2 characters usually they're strangers. He actually gave them a grievance to work through and use that for real character development.
What was the grievance?
The grievance is that Patrick Wilson got kicked out of NASA, and Halle Berry didn't stick up for him at all after he saved her life.
Wait, you think Halle Berry and Patrick Wilson were the main characters? I thought it was Patrick. Wait, his name's Patrick Wilson, right?
That's the actor.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was Patrick Wilson and Casey Stewart. That's his last name, right? Sorry, I'm blanking. I'm never good with names. Houseman, Casey Houseman.
Casey Houseman, yeah, he was in Game of
I thought
Thrones.
those were the 2 main characters. I thought Halle Berry was essentially there to facilitate their path.
Well, those are the 2 characters with the biggest dynamic. I thought I felt Casey, because the movie starts with them and ends with them. Casey is the tertiary character who's with them, but like kind of aside, like he's also used for comic relief a lot throughout the movie. But I would say the film is more focused on the dynamic between those 2.
Nah, I don't, maybe I'm just in it because I was like, I love the grizzled astronaut with the nerdy conspiracy theorists. Like, that's my favorite part of any movie. But to me, it really seemed like they were sort of the leading edge of this. And everything Halle Berry had to do was just kind of like, I don't know, it was almost like the filler to sort of explain what was going on with the other 2 characters, but I feel like that might just be a matter of opinion.
I don't feel like it was just filler to explain that because she had her own storyline and arc just like they did.
Also, she never like apologized and they barely brought up what happened beforehand.
It's called subtext.
Yeah,
Like
but
they-
like literally she was just like, sorry, I sold you out to the congressional hearing and like your entire life got destroyed. And then they're like, all right, now we're going to the moon. Like they just never, there was never really any addressing of the issue other than she was like, they lied to me. And he's like, they lied, or they're like, they lied to me. And she was like, they lied to me too. They were lying to everyone. And then they kind of just like brush past it. Other than that one line where he's like, thank you for bringing me here. And he was real sarcastic. Like, I just feel like it was a very unresolved conflict towards them that they brushed past really quickly.
Well, part of it was to get to the action. I think another part of it was especially Patrick Wilson's character. He was real grizzled and kind of closed off from people at that point. So I don't think it would be in his character to really bring up a heartfelt conversation directly like that.
Okay, yeah, that kind of brings me to one of the other issues I have in this movie is I feel like very often they say something about the character and then they just sort of expect the audience to accept it. At the very end, Casey Houseman is just like, he hasn't forgiven himself about his friend's death. I don't think there is not 1 second of that movie where it seems like he's blaming himself for his friend's death. I think he's just more upset about like his life falling apart. Like, not at one point was he just like, sorry, Dan. I forget the other character's name who died, but like, there never is he like, it should have been me, Dan. He's just like, man, my son fucked up. Like, he's so focused on what's going on now. I just feel like they're just like, oh yeah, he's really upset about it. And because that is what would happen in other movies where they actually lay out that sort of theory, they expect the audience to accept it.
Well, I'm not sure if they expect the audience to accept it. I think that that was like a meta commentary joke because that does happen in other movies. So Casey saying that is just him postulating based on what's going on because he doesn't actually have the context that they do due to the fact they don't directly talk about it.
Yeah, but like the way it's written and presented in the movie makes it really seem like he does have the context because they go from the scene in the hotel where they're like, we gotta go to the moon. And he's like, all right, I'm bringing my buddy. He's my friend. They like establish that the relationship is solid between them. He's not going anywhere without Casey Houseman.
I never, they weren't friends. I think he was just aware. It's like, okay, this conspiracy guy is right. He knows stuff. He will be helpful later.
No, I feel it because then he also had that line earlier. Okay, also in that hotel, they just have a diner on the second floor, like a 1950s style diner. That's the coolest hotel ever. Like they're in like a bar or like a lobby room or whatever, and then they go upstairs and they're just like in a separate diner, but they're on the second floor. They're in the same hotel and they're in a full-on like different restaurant that's in the hotel.
Well, yeah, some hotels have restaurants on a higher floor so that you have a view.
Okay, yeah. All right, I'm just like that. Sorry, a little off track. But he's like, no one ever believed me too either. He's like, no one, I tried to tell people the truth, but he wasn't like, I tried to tell people the truth, but I failed my friend. They build the relationship. They build it up where they're like, it's me and you, buddy. We both went through the same thing. And then Casey Houseman is just like, oh yeah, he hasn't forgiven himself for his friend's death. But there is like not a single moment within the entire movie before that where that's actually shown. They just say it and they kind of expect the audience to be like, yeah.
Well, I think Casey overall was just like also just very cocky in what he knew. That was his character. Because I mean, he was a conspiracy theorist that was proven right, and they just played that up. I didn't.
That's fair. That's fair. But I think They did it a few other times where they're like, the son is troubled. And he was going to jail, but that was in reality, that was actually just like a shitty situation. But they keep kind of portraying him. They're like, oh, his dad is disgraced. He's a troubled kid. He's just a regular fucking kid. Like, he's a very nice dude the entire time who has like a handle on a situation.
Well, I mean, didn't they also blatantly say like, oh, he just had like drugs on him that wasn't his, and that was why he went to jail?
Yeah,
And
but I feel like they also try to portray him as like this troubled kid. And they're like, he's in prison. Like, they try to do the like, oh, I'm fighting for my troubled son routine, but it's just like a shitty situation.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure they were trying to say his son was trouble. I think they were trying to show he's kind of distanced from his parents, which does seem upheld throughout the relationship ships, and the way everyone talks about him, like because because like Patrick Wilson showed up and like argues like not uh, clearly knowing like the bare bones of the situation, and then when he talks to his stepdad, he's like, "Why weren't you there?" He's like, "I sent a lawyer. What do you want me to do?"
Also, I feel like maybe I was reading into it too much, but like the stepdad essentially just being like, I sent a lawyer. There's nothing I can do. I feel like kind of got written off where it's just like, oh, he's this troubled kid. He doesn't want to deal with the stepdad doesn't want to put very much effort into him. He's going to get abandoned in the prison. Like, I just feel like they tried to write a character that wasn't quite there.
Okay, yeah, that's the thing with a lot of disaster movies. Disaster movies just hate stepdads. Like, like if you are a man actively involved in your biological child's life, and you have any sort of government job, you're surviving the disaster. If your ex is married, that guy is not.
That's fair. Okay, can I just, I've been like going on my points for a minute, but I just want to talk about one other thing really quickly.
Yeah.
I had issue believing Michael Pena as the dickish stepdad. I don't know, like, I feel like Stanley Tucci, it wouldn't have been a distraction, but Michael Pena, he just wasn't like, he didn't quite have enough personality to sell that actor choice. And I know it was like a fill-in, but he needed like a little bit more like pizzazz or something. Also, he was a multimillionaire who owned a Lexus dealership. That's all he owned, is one Lexus dealership. And he had 2 houses, one in LA, one in Colorado.
Okay, it is possible he has other businesses than the Lexus dealership, because it's one of those things where it's like a lot of rich people just buy businesses left and right. He just happened to be at the Lexus dealership that day.
But it made it look like he was the manager of that Lexus dealership.
What if we're reading this all wrong, and he was actually just there to buy his 4th Lexus?
Yeah, that's he's like, actually, I own the Maserati dealership next door. I was just here to laugh at people.
Yeah, it's like, I just want to see what the peasants are up to. But yeah, with Michael Pena, that is very against type for him, and I do respect that. This is the reason some big names go independent films is so that they can try different things. But it does feel very much Michael Pena was a last minute choice, because I don't think there's a single role where anyone would fan cast it and be like, oh yeah, I'm thinking Michael Pena or Stanley Tucci. Like, they're both great. They're just very different actors.
Yeah. Has he ever done something dramatic before?
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Because like, he wasn't necessarily bad. I just had trouble seeing him.
Oh yeah, he was in End of Watch.
I've never seen that.
Oh, I did see that. That was great. I will say he was really good in there. But I mean, even there, he was kind of playing up his side, where it's like between him and Jake Gyllenhaal, it was a lot of joking around. it was one of those movies where it's like how well these guys got along, added to the drama later on. Solid performances, absolute propaganda, but solid performances.
Okay, I've just got one point to make because this also stood out to me. I don't know Patrick Wilson that well, but to me in that movie, he kind of looked like if an evil wizard cursed Will Arnett and took away all his humor.
So Patrick Wilson, he does mostly do a lot of horror. He was in some of the Insidious movies, Conjuring movies, and I think his most prominent role outside of this and the horror movies, he was the villain in Aquaman.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he does do a lot of serious stuff, but I do feel like that's where his character was. Just kind of jaded, keeps to himself. He definitely relied on other cast members to bring stuff out of him.
Yeah, I don't. When they kept Michael Pena kept being like, "Oh, maybe if you paid rent." He said that like 19 times, and I was just like, that was like a 10-second part of the movie that they're really harping on.
Well, that's a 10-second part that really establishes where his character is and like how the beginning where he gets kicked out of NASA had a big impact on him.
Okay, also, I feel like flight engineer, astronaut can be applicable to other parts of the world. Like he could have ended up being like a structural engineer somewhere. Like to be an astronaut, you really have to be on top of your shit. You're not just like a pilot.
Yeah, but he was dishonorably discharged from NASA, or I don't know if that's the correct term, but he was fired under bad terms.
He was disgraced.
Yeah, NASA probably slandered him. He's not going to use him as a job reference.
He's like, I landed the plane, like no power. No power. And they're like, yeah, but like you also said aliens did it. And he's like, well, space is weird. Space shit happens. Like I landed the plane. So like I'll sell the car, but I'll also tell him aliens also made the car. He's like, I could do a lot of shit. Just I'm gonna tell you aliens are involved in the middle.
Yeah. And so also I will say I think the movie does like a fairly good job for a disaster movie of being like anti-establishment. Like it's the military that's a secondary threat they have to deal with. Even NASA is made out to be the bad guy at times, and things only work well when all the people who are really running NASA leave.
That's true. I kind of like I understand what you're saying and I like parts of that too, but they also had some like weird parts to show that part of the like the anti-authoritarian stuff where it's like why'd they have the random guy who landed on the moon and was just they had him in like a warehouse out in Maryland and he just had a wheelchair and a gun and he handed files to people and then presumably killed himself off screen.
Well,
I thought that was kind of a weird part of the movie. I feel like they could have just handed her the file and walked off.
I mean, first off, I just want to say that one scene was one of the 135 sets they built. Just for that one scene. I mean, going back to that, he because his whole thing was to keep things under wraps. So yeah, NASA is gonna try to put him in a hole as much as they can, in a place where they could reach him. So I mean, it does make sense for him to be like real secretive and mysterious about it.
Yeah, I just feel like, I don't know, they could have like killed him. Yeah, there's just like a lot of stuff going on there where I'm like, I don't know if they needed that shot. I feel like when the acting director of NASA left, he could have just like slapped a folder into her hands and then walked off and she'd be like, what's Project X10 Zulu?
Well, I mean, it's something where like by going there, she actually works for it instead of it just being handed to her or being a coincidence.
But like the work was just going there. She didn't have to do anything special. She didn't have to convince the wheelchair guy. She literally just was like, okay, I'm here. And he's like, all right, I'm going to spill my guts.
Yeah, she went all the way down to a hole in like Maryland or something.
Really, I think this is a matter of opinion, but there are parts where I'm like, you guys know that the moon's about to hit the earth and like destroy everything, right? Where they're just like, oh no, one of the engines is wet. We might as well just send everyone home so they don't die. And it's like, no, get them working because the moon's going to hit the earth. They're all going to die no matter what, unless like you stop the moon from hitting the earth.
Well, they didn't have, it was an entire engine that didn't work. They didn't have it needed to be replaced, which they couldn't just do in 10 minutes. The moon was going to hit them by the time it happened. So it was like a mercy thing of like, you know what, spend your last moments with your loved ones.
Yeah, I guess so. It was one of those things where I'm like, man, they like should at least have a few people there to problem solve.
Yeah, and they did. They had exactly a few.
They had 2 people.
three people, counting the conspiracy theorists. who wasn't even on NASA's payroll. He saved the world for free.
Yep. You think they're like gonna honor him?
They should.
Or they're just gonna be like, yeah.
Or it's gonna be part of another NASA cover. I was like, we can't let the world know we were saved by conspiracy theorists. that undermines us.
Okay, can we move on to like all right, so we covered the beginning. That was like, we need to get to the end where we're just talking about when they get into space and like the whole freaking movie shifts real hard. I feel like it goes from like a sort of a movie about a government conspiracy to a true disaster movie in the last third of the movie, which I get. I'm not actually hating on that. That kind of makes sense where if you run disaster for 2 hours straight, it's just going to be a little too chaotic and you'll never be able to build up. But really shifted once they got out into space.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is the whole reveal. It was just a lot of lore to put into the end, and once they were out in space, because like throughout the movie, they're learning stuff about the aliens, and I think that's something that was good to do. Make them active in this investigation. It's just like the whole lore of like human ancestors having a perfect society, building all these structures. It was a lot for, and it wasn't something that like I think it would have been more clever if it was more simple. And when they got there, they had to just like solve something real quick and to figure it out.
I think they could have got not all of it, but like a little bit more information from the shady NASA guy. Yeah. Like if he gave like one thing where he's like, I don't know, maybe like the moon was created by previous ancestors that fought a war. And like you could be like, all right. So then when you get to the moon, they're like, here's what the war is about. Not like, oh, there was a war and there was moons and there was arcs. And we're going to explain all this in 5 minutes. And then we're also going to give the main character moon technology superpowers so he can open doors with his hands and like automatically start turrets firing randomly.
Oh yeah, they just made him Moon Neo.
I was like, I feel like I don't know, like they could have given him like a remote or something, but he was just like, and like also, why they had so many guns and weapons up there and they didn't fire a single one at the aliens.
Yeah, I feel like they could. It feels weird, like knowing they were under COVID restrictions. It feels like they could have just add stuff throughout to like give a bit more mystery and have things build up instead of just building an entire other world of humans and have them going through that. Because also like one thing is like according to this lore, I want to make sure I'm getting this right. Humans had this ideal society where they had no problems. They try to build these moon structures. AI destroyed them, and then they put humans on Earth and like erase their memory for everything. Why they let humans just reinvent all the bad stuff?
Okay, wait, no. So they didn't put humans back on Earth. I don't and like erase their memory. That's not what I understood it. So they couldn't send humans in the moon because the aliens targeted organic matter covered in technology, which like it's a really like well-crafted puzzle piece to fit into this weird plot hole that they have where they're like, how do we explain why humans didn't just ride the moon to the Earth? And they're like, well, okay, the alien hunt specifically what that would have been. But also, no, I think they just like jizz some DNA into the planet and then just let humans develop automatically. I never, yeah, that was kind of like, I don't think that they just put humans on. It wasn't like a Halo 5 kind of, or Halo 4 situation. They literally just like put DNA and let evolution happen naturally, is what I thought. I like could have mistaken.
Okay. I don't feel like reading the Wikipedia page right now. Yeah, but I mean, with that, it was just a lot to pack in like 5 minutes for the climax, and I think and like going back to like them making him like the superpower person within the moon. I think it would have been cooler if they like just upgrade the technology of their ship and so that that way it doesn't entirely feel like they're given something, but it could explain like just a little bit more. I don't think we need to go that in depth, and then they can still actively solve the problem and work their way out.
Yeah. Okay. Also, I don't, this is another one where I'm like, I don't know if this is like a fault with the movie or a fault with me. But by the time they got out of the moon and they're only in, they lose their space shuttle. So they're in like their lunar lander and they're like headed out of the tunnel from the center of the moon. I immediately was like, there's no way they can get from the moon to Earth in that kind of thing. And then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot the moon is right next to fucking Earth. And I'm like, I don't know if that's on me or the film where I'm like, that could be me being a dumbass. I mean, like, I'll admit that could be me being a dumbass.
I mean, the film did make it very clear the moon is close to Earth.
I know, but by the time they're inside the moon, I like just forgot about it. Oh, okay. And then also the whole B plot of them trying to get to the bunker, just to have the bunker get destroyed by the moon. To have the Halle Berry's ex-husband hold the entire nuclear facility hostage with one single pistol. Just to have the whole bunker exploded. They all died, like, right? The piece of, I was like, I don't know about that. Like,
no, it's part of the anti-establishment thing. It's their comeuppance for like about to put the world in danger, because their plan was to just send all of America's nukes at the moon, which will send all the parts of the moon right into Earth, killing a bunch of people, and then almost everyone would die from the radiation anyway.
Okay, so, can we just bring it back to the fact that some dude went to Cannes and started pitching, and he's like, okay, here's my movie about the moon falling into the Earth. And they're like, all right, that's kind of interesting. And he's like, yeah, there's this whole other plot where America is going to nuke the moon. And someone's like, bet, that sounds like a great movie. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a matter of Roland Emmerich is a very established director. He has connections. So, and most of his movies are financially successful, so he can use that as leverage for pitching. It's kind of like how James Cameron could go into any room and get funding for any movie he wants.
even.
James Cameron could walk into Fox Studios, be like, I need money for Avatar 27, and they're like, we haven't even put out Avatar 3 yet. Well, I have 27 ideas.
I'd watch Avatar 27. A different moon falls into a different Earth.
Honestly, honestly, it would be funny if he went from like Avatar 3, was it the Way of Fire, and then the next one was just Avatar New Generations.
All right, so where are we looking? Should we move into
Yep,
three opposing points?
It is time for our concessions. This is where I give 3 things I didn't like about the film, and Chris gives 3 things she enjoyed. So the first thing I didn't like, I will say, especially early on, the dialogue was very clunky and did a poor job establishing a lot of the relationships that should be close throughout the movie.
I kind of got the feeling that it was almost like they put into Chat GPT and they're like, we need dialogue for the beginning of a disaster movie, and they're like, we got you.
Yeah, no, it was almost like in every scene when writing it, there were 3 lines where he's like, all right, this could be a meme, and that's how every scene was written.
All right. Something I liked about the movie, we already touched on this, but the last 5 minutes of the movie made me really want a sequel. Like, they got me red-handing, wanting to know what batshit insane direction they would take a sequel in. Release as a book. Just have the director call me up and be like, oh man, we had so many crazy ideas. And I'd be like, tell me them all, because I want to think about them for the rest of my life. I don't even need to see the movie though. Like, just tell me the ideas and I think I could get the picture.
Oh yeah, I want to know what happened, but honestly, like I would vote for a sequel to this movie over like restoring the Snyderverse. Like that has me more curious about what's going to happen than the end credit of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
All right.
Our next one, for a large part of the movie, for a disaster movie, there wasn't a huge sense of urgency. Like the fact Patrick Wilson could meet this guy in a hotel. They have a conference. The hotel gets flooded. They just sleep in the hotel, and then when they get to NASA, they wait around a bit more. It's like, all while the Earth is in danger. It's like you should pick up the pace, and it's like the moon wasn't. It's like the chunks of the moon that were hitting Earth. It's something like that should have happened sooner. And then also, like, related to that, it was weird how that guy just like sent a tweet and then everyone was in chaos.
Yeah. He activated the emergency broadcast system, but they don't even for a second explain how he was able to do that.
I mean, he was just able to like sneak into NASA as a janitor and then just use people's computers. That's the only thing I could think of.
But that wasn't even NASA. That was University of California, Irvine. It wasn't even like UCLA or I don't know if Irvine's a good school, but is that like a big space school or something? Or is that just like a regular fucking university?
I don't know. Because it was almost like the opposite of Don't Look Up, where in Don't Look Up, the point is that like a lot of people aren't concerned about it the entire time. This one was just like everyone's concerned about it immediately, and no one's absolutely no one's like, the government's lying to us, or this is being blown out of proportion.
Yeah,
which especially it feels weird to see this come out after COVID.
I thought that the concept was a little goofy, but like the practical design for the AI metallic sandstorm was kind of cool.
Yeah,
It was very alien.
yeah. It was a really good design because it kind of met like in the middle of what they were going for of like mechanical and organic, whereas like I think to us it looks like a machine, but it acts in its own way.
It kind of looks like the robot version of Jean Jacket from Nope.
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
All right, and my final one, we discussed is they did not build up to to all the lore well. Like it's just like the idea of it isn't used to like drive any scenes. We don't get Easter eggs throughout. It's just a huge info dump in the last 20-30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, it seems like they couldn't figure out an ending. Like they wanted to make this cool concept and they had a lot of cool ideas for it, but they're like, how do we explain all that? How do we wrap it up? And they're like, I don't know, man. What if we made it like humans made the moon already? And so therefore we could give humans moon powers and they have to fight a human created robot tech alien that was trying to kill it just seemed like they needed to come up with something plausible, but they didn't really think of any way to make it like good.
Yeah, like a lot of that is stuff that should have gone in a sequel.
Yeah. So I thought that they had a lot of really cool shots, like action shots, like all of this stuff where you would get the moon gigantic in the background and you could like, they sort of visualized what the competing forces of gravity looked like when the waves start kind of, one part of Earth's waves are going down, but then the Earth is also pulling pieces of the moon down. Yeah. They like, as much as you want to just like shit on it for being a little ridiculous, they did a really good job in creating like compositionally some amazing shots. So like respect where respect is due. For a disaster movie, they nailed that part.
Oh yeah. No, those were cool shots and just fun concepts to play with.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. I think a lot of the time as living on Earth, you sort of have a hard time understanding astronomical size, both in distance and in how big something is, where it's like the moon looks small, but that's just an issue of relativity based on the distance it is. And you can't really understand that until it's like airplane distance away from you. And you're like, fuck, that thing's bigger than I could ever imagine.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, now it's time for our closing statements. So I'll start with mine. Do you like conspiracy theories but don't really want to promote them? This does just that. It explores the thoughts of a few men who ignored science and infuses them with fun. It has disaster movie staples you look for and a little bit more.
Moonfall was my favorite movie we've done so far on the podcast. That doesn't mean it was good. I just enjoyed it. The acting was flat. The story was bland and without direction. And they somehow couldn't put Michael Pena to good use. He was a dick, but they could have made that more enjoyable. It was enjoyable. Like it just wasn't good. It wasn't a good movie. It was all over the place. It ended with robot moon superpowers against a GPT powered sandstorm. Like it was all over the place. But like, admittedly, I enjoyed parts of it, but it wasn't a good movie.
That was the most mixed bag closing statement.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When we do these, I end up like admitting parts of the movie were good because I enjoy parts of it, but also like I have to be like, no, it was really bad because that's the stance I have to take. So it's like enjoyable parts, but like it wasn't a good movie. All the hate, it deserved it.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been Film versus Movie. We'll see you guys next time. I'm Belton DeLaine-Facey.
And I'm Chris Shurr. Come back next week.